What's up, everybody? And for another edition of Prison Talk Live. Hope everybody had a good weekend. I'm a little under the weather today. Still getting over this damn virus going around. It's like the second time I had this bullshit. But I want to give a shout out to all our fans who've been supporting us from day one. All the fans who have been telling their friends and family to subscribe to the channel. And thanks for supporting us on YouTube, Instagram, and also on Twitter. If you haven't checked out our website, check out our website at www.FreshOutSeries.com and check out some of the things we have going on there as far as the public speaking, the clothing. Also, if you guys have any questions, you can email us at FreshOutSeries@gmail.com. Yeah, man, it's just been it was a kind of a rough weekend, but it was actually a good week. You got to hang out with wifey, see a couple concerts and stuff. But you're always grateful for what you have and for being able to share that with loved ones. Shout out to Stockton 209. Did I meet any Brits in prison? No. I didn't run across any Brits in prison. No, coincidentally I didn't, which is a good thing because I wouldn't want to see y'all in American prisons anyway, so that's probably a positive. Hey, Herc, do you know how to slap box? We used to slap box in high school. I ain't did that in a long time, but we used to, that was regular rec back in the day. In high school, lunchtime, you slap box, you play hot hands, open chest, all that shit. That's how we got out when we were youngsters. What's happening to Burn, North Carolina? What's up to Toronto? Yeah, man. Somebody said, dress the jury off. But yeah, man, it's great to have people out there that support the show, that do offer some positivity, but you just gotta avoid negative energy, man. A lot of people are gonna talk shit, and you just gotta shake them off, man. You gotta really pay attention to the friends you have around you. That's the most important thing. Are you gonna collab with Cali Muscle again? Shout out to Cali Muscle. When I can hook up with him, I mean, he's busy. He's doing a lot of big things, but hopefully we can get together here in the near future and put something together. He's a good dude. He's always down to pop in a video with me whenever I ask him. Somebody says, did I run across any Europeans at all in prison? When I was in the holding facility, I ran across, there was a dude from France. I don't know what kind of case he had, but he was there. But that's about it, man. I mean, I ran across some Africans. You got a few Asians here and there. And then you have, the guys, your bank robbery guys, your drug dealers, and then your guys who are for white collar, fraud and stuff like that. So, hey, can you talk about what would you do with horrible anxiety? If you got anxiety dealing with prison, if you're in prison, you're dealing with anxiety. I mean, a lot of times guys like that probably go see the psych and ask for, some type of evaluation so they can get on some meds or something like that. I mean, if you were out there doing if you were doing what you were doing and you got caught up, then you should have probably dealt with your anxiety when you were doing your crimes, because once you get to jail, you got to deal with doing your time. So, that's anxiety in a nutshell, dealing with it in prison. You gotta handle it, or you get strung out on some type of bullshit pills, and then you get out, you can't function. No, I didn't write any raps in prison. I had a partner. This dude was tight. He used to rap a lot, but I mainly focused on reading a lot of legal material, a lot of spiritual material. That's kind of like what my focus was on while I was in prison. Who was the best fighter in Lompoc? In Lompoc, the best fighter, I mean, it's hard to say. I didn't see no dudes like, they didn't have like boxing matches and nothing like that. But there was a couple dudes in there you didn't want to fuck with. There was a Cuban cat. He had been in prison for over 20 years, and he was in that riot that they had back east when the Cubans overtook the prison, and I used to say what's up to him, but he's not the type of person you want to cross because he would no joke. It's Cuban cat. He was you could just look in his eyes and tell he wouldn't know he was for real. But I didn't really know as far as this like guys who were known for fighting. There was a couple guys they said it was pretty bad with the martial arts up in there, but I never seen them put down any demos. Somebody said if the porn industry running me back, would I go? The porn industry, for one, I'm married, but the porn industry doesn't really. It's not like what it used to be. With the internet and stuff, unless you're running a company and you're tied in with distribution, there is no money in the porn industry. The porn industry is not like what it was when I first went to prison in 1999. It was different back then. It's changed a whole lot since then. Did I ever run across any inmate with 23-inch arms? I don't know. Ain't no guys in there that are on yoke status. You might see them flex, like walk into the shower. You can kind of see, but on the yard, dudes ain't working out with like they're not working out in tank tops. It's not like on the street. They're covered up. Dudes are working out. Even in the summertime, they got thermals on. You know what I mean? And then they're just everybody's kind of like on a DL. So you're not running around yoke checking and like really showing off what your size is. You might see a dude, like I said, you catch him like with his shirt off when he like come out of the shower, and you're like, damn, that nigga hub. But it ain't like motherfuckers are rolling around like that, and just on flex status every day. Did I run into Little Fee from the '60s? No, but I did time with a couple cats from the '60s. Shout out to cats from the '60s. Big Cass, Kato, JB, couple cats I ran across, GB. Shout out to Santa Rosa. You know what I'm saying? I used to be out there too. Shout out to Santa Rosa. Have you ever talked to a death row inmate? No, I haven't talked to any death row because the feds is mainly just life sentences. They don't really have a death row. It's not like the state. Feds and state are different. But I have talked to guys that had a lot of time, man, and it's pretty sad. You know what I mean? Dudes has been down 10, 15 years, man, and they still trying to figure a way to get out, and they got like 2 or 3 lives. It's pretty crazy. I'm working on actually interviewing some Sacramento OGs. If you got somebody in mind, shoot us an email at FreshOutSeries@gmail.com. Shout out to Gwinnett County, Georgia. Much respect, much love. What was my job in prison? In prison, I tried to get the job that required the least amount of time, and I focused on my hustle. So I was a prison hustler. I did legal work for Hustle. I typed up briefs for guys. I actually had like a job where I worked in the kitchen like once every other Saturday, and I made toast. That was my job at Lompoc. When I was at Sheridan, I had a job where what did I do? I think I worked in the unit doing like a little cleanup, and that was it. But I try to keep my job in prison to a minimum, man. I wasn't trying to get conditioned to be a worker bee for when I got out. I focused on getting my hustle on. Somebody said, can I interview Wesley Pipes? Tell him to get at me if you know him. I know he was in the industry too. I haven't really, I ran across him back in the day, but I haven't ran across him since I've been out. Best legit paying jobs for an ex-felon? Shit. There's a lot of construction, personal training, tattooing, automotive, there's a lot of different jobs that are legit for ex-felons, man. You just got to apply yourself. It's all about, you utilizing the opportunities out there and showing that you want to work. I mean, there's work if you look for it. Shout out to Houston, Texas. You know what I'm saying? But did mob bosses respect blacks in prison? I didn't see no issues with mob bosses and blacks or Italians and blacks in prison. I mean, there's probably more Italians on the East Coast, but where I was at, one of the major mob bosses used to kick it with a cat that was a black cat, and they were cool. You know what I mean? So I never seen any issues with that. But yeah, man, shout out to the Bay Area. You know what I'm saying? Um, have I ever seen a man? No, I don't like that one. That's a little bit out there. But yeah, man, the wig splitting stories, you know what I'm saying? Somebody said, gone wrong, huh? Wig splitting. I remember there was a cat when I was at Sheridan. I can't remember if he was I don't know if he was an AZ boy or if he was a border brother or, I don't know what it was because, there was a lot of different Hispanic gangs on the West Coast when you're talking about Arizona and the border and all that stuff. But these cats try to rush him. They're like about 4 or 5 cats try to rush him up in the cell. He ran up out the cell with a blinky, with his shank, and man, he chased these dudes all around the tier. And the guard in the housing unit was a female, and she was new, and she was freaking out. She didn't know what to do. And so she was, it took her a minute before she hit the deuces for the other guards that, run up in there. But he had motherfuckers running all up and down a tier. One dude took on 5 dudes. So, have heart, have money. You know what I'm saying? As far as the shred routine with prison food, man, you got to go on a kosher diet. In prison, if you go on a kosher diet, what that means is kosher is, pretty much like a lot of the nation or the Muslims and the Jews, they have kosher diets. You can apply for a kosher diet. And excuse me if I, don't properly address the religious aspects of it, but the kosher diet was more vegetable orientated. The food is prepared a little bit differently. A lot of, guys that are on that, saying they can get their, they for nutritional purposes, they kind of can work that. I had a partner, he's on the kosher diet, and we used to use the vegetables, and he used to get certain foods that we didn't get on mainline. So it would enable him to kind of like, eat a more healthier diet, but your general diet in prison sucks. If they offered me $1 million to go back to prison for a year, would I do it? Fuck no. Fuck prison, man. Prison, you don't know if you're going to make it out. That's a fucked up thing, man. I mean, you could think you're going in there. I heard a dude one time in the gym said, in the gym locker room, he's like, oh, man, it's kind of stressful out here. I'll go to prison for a year and just chill. You might not be chilling. They send your ass to motherfucking Corcoran or motherfucking Soledad or one of these fucked up prisons, and it ain't like no club fed like, some of these places in the, man, you get your wig split. Fuck a year, man. There's so much you can do in a year. It's crazy, man. Money is not worth me doing any more time as far as, taking money to go do time. Fuck that, man. I love my freedom too much. I still have nightmares about prison. What was the most disrespectful thing I saw in prison? Prison was all about respect. So, disrespecting somebody was major. I didn't really see a whole lot of disrespect. I mean, I've heard of guys like, I've seen a guy there were some guys that were talking, there was a guy that was talking shit about another dude, and he found out, and basically, he came out onto the tier, and he called out the whole car. He called out the whole clique and said, if y'all niggas, got problems, run up. You know what I'm saying? So, he was about it, man, but it wasn't no disrespect. If somebody disrespected you, you had to go handle that shit. But yeah, man, it's prison, man. I talk about it, but I tell you right now, I have flashbacks and like nightmares about that shit, and it's not a cool piece of mind, man. A lot of people come in there, they don't make it out, or they go in there and catch more time. I mean, you got guys in there, all they do is troll around, man. They're mad at everybody, and they're mad at you because maybe you're in a good mood. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't so much you getting in there and being physical, being a big dude. It's dealing with the mental and then having to avoid situations so you don't get caught up and end up getting more time. What's the difference between federal and prison and state prison? Federal prison deals with interstate commerce, money laundering, bank robbery, corporate fraud, drugs that were transported across the country, interstate, interstate. You got conspiracy, RICO. The state, the feds, you won't see nobody in there locked up for like assault and battery, rape, serial murders or something like that. I mean, if they were in the feds and got busted for murdering, they were tied in with some drugs or something like that. But it's just a different mentality too. The state is no joke. Cali State, man, you go up in there, you banging. It's rough, man. It ain't a walk in the park. So the feds, they getting down too, but it's just a little bit different as far as because the monetary level of the criminal is a little bit different. Guys were in there getting money, so it's a little bit different as far as the mentality is concerned. So, yeah, man, it's the state and feds is a big difference, man. State prison anywhere you go, it's not a cakewalk. Somebody said, what is the northern blacks and Mexicans get along, but southern blacks and Mexicans don't? Or is that just out there in the streets? Nah. I mean, some of my best homies from up north is Mexican. You know what I mean? We tight. We like brothers. We say, what's up, my nigga? And you know what I mean? We family. If I got a problem, they got a problem. But it's different, man. We have a different sense of unity in Northern California when it comes to blacks, Mexicans, Filipinos, Samoans, Tongans, Asians. Is different. We get out a little bit different. Southern California, there's a lot of beef because of just the neighborhoods and just, the influx of the different gangs and the drugs, you know what I mean? A lot of times the drugs from, different things transpiring on the street, actually transcends into prison and, word travels quick, so it creates problems. But yeah, blacks and Mexicans in Southern California, they don't really mix it up like that. It's still a lot of animosity for, whatever reason that goes back years. I don't know the history behind a lot of it, but it's just a lot of bullshit. But in Northern California, I would say the Mexicans in prison get along a lot better. They actually, the homies looked out for me when I was up in there, and I'm saying from Northern California, and I got I was like sitting with them, you know what I'm saying, and I had my partner's back, he had my back. But even on the street, man, we just get down differently in Northern California, man. It's a different mentality. Was there Samoans in prison? Yeah. I had a couple of Usos and, that was at Herlong with me. I still keep in touch with a couple of the homies from Hawaii. Shout out to Hawaii. You know what I'm saying? That was cool. But yeah, man, it's you see a little bit of everybody from prison. Somebody said, how do I jump into car hustling? Car hustling, I jumped into it when I first got out. One of the homies actually blessed me with some money to go get a car, and that's how I got my first car. And then I basically saved up my money and bought another car. And what I would try to do is find cars that didn't need a whole lot of work, or I would beat somebody up on the price of it and then turn around and repost that car and try to make a quick $500. So that's the car hustle in a nutshell, is trying to find something that you can get for $500 below whatever it's selling for, or $1,000, and then turn around and repost it because that person just wants the cash real quick. Shout out to Sweden, you know what I'm saying? Somebody said, what's up, Big Herc? I'm in lockdown in San Quentin prison and paid 2 chips to send this to you. How can I reduce my time in prison? Go to the law library, man. Research your case. If you went to trial, see, you got action at appeals. If you didn't take a plea agreement, a plea bargain, you can go back and get your sentence reduced. Also, look into your priors. If you have priors that are, like, I forgot how many years old, you can go back and get those expunged. You can get those expunged and sometimes retroactively go back and get your case remanded to get resentenced. So if you went to trial, you got action, stay up in the law library, man, research the most recent case logs and see what, see if there's a way you can get your appeal back in court, file you a habeas corpus. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, the law library, man, that's where it's at. I've seen guys get life sentences off them at the law library. And the thing is, there's a lot of cases that are always coming up that your lawyer on the street might not know about. So you got to really just, I know resources sometimes is limited, but if you have people on the street too, have them look for you. Do you need a business license to sell cars? In California, you have to. I think you can sell 7 cars before you have to report it. I forgot how many cars a year. I want to say 7, and then you need a dealer's license. But you can buy and sell cars. You're not registering all those cars in your name, and you can get your hustle on like that. So it's a way for you to flip cars and make money. And there's dudes who do that all day, but you gotta just be careful and know about what you're claiming on your taxes and all that other bullshit. I don't want to get into details, but that's one of the things you want to look at. Somebody said, is kosher food better? Generally speaking, yes. The kosher food, the menu is a little bit better. It's healthier. The only thing about kosher on a kosher meal is like when they're having hamburger day or fried chicken day or something like that, and you want to get that fried chicken, you got to sneak, because they catch you eating regular food, and then they can take away your kosher benefits. Herc, do you ever tell anyone your release date? No. Only person that would know about your release date is like your closest friends who you plan on socializing with when you get on the street. I mean, if they cool with you like that, then you give them a heads up, because these are your partners, man. These are dudes who are looking out for you. But you don't let a lot of dudes know when you're getting out, man, because motherfuckers be hating, and you got dudes who have nothing to lose up in there, whose lives are miserable, and they'll turn around, man, and try to get you more time. From your experience, what race is the most violent? I mean, there's a lot of races that can be violent, man. It just depends on the mentality and where you're at. My cousin's locked up in federal right now, and him and a friend from Jersey got into it with some DC guys. Could it be gang related over gambling, you think? I know you said before DC cats is about their biz. Yeah, DC cats are about their biz. It could be, I don't know, man. It could be about maybe gambling. It could be about drugs. I mean, a lot of the fucked up thing about DC is that it's the whole state is federal. There is no state prison in DC. So you got people in DC committing crimes that would normally be state crimes in other states, but they're federal crimes because that's a federal district. So if you do anything in DC, you're going straight to the feds. And so purse snatching, assault and battery, rape, whatever the case may be, you're going straight to the feds. So it's a totally different mentality. That's why, and then you got the dudes from DC, when they band up, they get deep. I mean, like I said, they don't fuck around. You know what I'm saying? DC cats, I was cool with some, but they get about 40, 50 deep, man. They're going to put in some work, you know what I mean? So, and it's a different, their mentality is like it's pretty aggressive, you know what I mean? As far as how they handle their business. They ain't no, they're not playing any games, and they're not accepting any form of disrespect. How much gangster talk can an inmate talk before? Somebody said, how much gangster talk can an inmate talk before getting his wig split? I seen a motherfucker run up in. I seen a dude. He got to the prison. He was there maybe a week, and he got his wig split. He was a super crip. He was talking all this crip shit, blah blah blah, and just talking loud, trying to mix it up with the crip table, and dudes ain't trying to feel that shit, man. Dudes doing their time, and he trying to overemphasize, man, be a super gang member, and they split his wig, so he didn't last that long. Somebody was asking about the cars, if it's either to flip classics, imports, or domestic cars. I pretty much focus on the classics because that's what I'm more familiar with. But if you got a good eye, you can flip Hondas, you can flip Toyotas. Honda's got good resale value. Those are easy cars to flip. Anything right now with the economy, with the gas prices, if you can get like a economy car, turn around and flip it, it's an easy flip. Trucks are also a good flip, especially like out here in California, because a lot of people use trucks for work, landscaping, construction, stuff like that. So if you can get a deal on trucks, you can make a lot of money. The trucks they're pretty easy turnaround because a lot of people are looking for good prices on trucks. Do you ever ghost ride in a muscle car? Nah, I never ghost ride in a muscle car. I ain't that brave, man. But cause my cars, they all high performance, and I'm not trying to fuck them up, you know. I've been on the rate, I've been on the track a couple times. You know, I'm trying to get more into that, and you know, just you know, eventually, I got a couple other cars I'm restoring. I want to really take my car game to the next level with it. Um, have Herc, are you ever gonna do a fresh out with Cody Scott Monster? I would like to do an interview with Cody Scott, man. I mean, hopefully, you know, we're working on getting the show picked up right now. We're putting it out there. You know, we got people that are, you know, backing us right now that are looking to help us get this deal. So once we get the show on a network, we'll be able to actually get you guys some really good interviews. We just dropped the King Harris interview. If you haven't seen that, go check it out on our YouTube. But we're looking to really bring you guys some really in-depth interviews and also incorporate some people who who are a little bit more influential as far as just high profile, so that you guys can see what they went through, and also people who maybe are struggling. You know, so we want to really bring the show and take it to the next level, and we plan on doing that within the next 6 months. So fingers crossed we get the show picked up. It's going to be the production value is going to be on a whole nother level. Is George Jackson book still banned in prison? I'm not really sure, man. I mean, I tell you, like in prison, I was at Lompoc, so there was before they started really changing it up. But there was a lot of reading material that you wouldn't be able to find on the street. And a lot of these guys had this stuff from other institutions, So I was privy to some books that normally wouldn't be in regular circulation, but I'm not sure if that particular book is banned still, that author. Has anyone ever tried to split my wig or tried me? Nah, I ain't never had to deal with nobody trying to split my wig. I pretty much, I pretty much keep to myself, and I don't run around running my mouth. And if I do got a problem with somebody, I just tell them to come up into the cell. Come holler at me. You know what I'm saying? Shut the door and let's get in. And as soon as you come up in there, I'm going to throw a fucking knee to your fucking chin, and I'm going to elbow you in your eyeball and chop you in your neck. So it ain't going to be a whole lot of talking once we shut that door. So I don't really, I avoided a lot of situations, but, when it came down to actually entertaining somebody, I would always try to just keep it out of the public eye, because, I'm not trying to, go down for some bullshit. And then on top of it, a lot of dudes is, they're on some bullshit. What type of books did I fuck with? Were there fiction? What authors? As far as fiction, I read some Dan Brown. You know what I mean? As far as, most of the books I read that were fiction, old school Donald Goings, just for entertainment purposes. But I mainly read a lot of biographies about successful people, people who have achieved, who have overcame adversity, a lot of spiritual books. I try to read books that would allow me to reflect, that were actually, real people, so that I could try to somehow apply that to my daily life. And, that's kind of like what I read. A lot of biographies, a lot of inspirational business books, corporate books, real estate books, stuff like that. Can you do the Diz dance? Shit, man. I'd have to see a video. Somebody said, did I have a favorite CO? Nah, not really. You know what I'm saying? I don't really fuck with the COs like that. But, you know what I'm saying? You try to keep it cordial, but you get too cozy with the COs, man. And the motherfuckers like, you're suspect. So you don't want to be, fraternizing with the motherfucking popos in prison. Biggest money case I ever heard of. Shit, man. A lot of times, the big money cases, man, there's some dudes in there, but they ain't telling you about their cases because they don't want to get pressed. They don't want to, because dudes find out about your family and try to send somebody pressure your family on the street. You got to watch your mail and shit like that. So, a lot of dudes kind of keep it on a DL as far as what they're in there for. But I remember there was a cat, there were some cats in there. I think they were laundering money for the cartel, and I think they got a year for every $1 million they laundered, and I think they laundered like over 100 something million. So it was pretty crazy. You know what I'm saying? Dudes had a gang of time, man. But I think that was I heard about that, and like I said, I don't. You know, a lot of times I try to stay out of gossip because it's better not to know than to know. And then you know, you have some big D boys up in there that were making a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? Have big cases and shit, but I try not to get into their business too much because you don't want to do that. Best way to publish a book, you can contact there's programs now you can just type your book and it'll format your book for you. And then you contact the Library of Congress, get you an ISBN number, once you get the ISBN number, you incorporate that into your book cover, and that allow you to be a registered book. Now you'll be in a database, and you know, copyright your book, and then you can just, you know, from there put your book on Amazon. You know, ebook. You know, you can also make your book an ebook. So you know, the book hustle is you know, it's cool once you get past your first book, and then from there it becomes a little bit easier. You know, he's a good friend of mine. Do you know Alvaro Mendoza from Salinas? He's a good friend of mine. No, I don't know him. I did run across some guys from Salinas. Shout out to Salinas. Shout out to Seaside. But I don't know him in particular. I don't know that individual. But you know, there was some good dudes I had run across from up there that were about their business. Somebody says, do I watch UFC? Yeah, I missed the fight this weekend. I see old boy in the heavyweight put in some work, but I usually try to stay up on the UFC fights. There's so many of them, and a lot of times I have other stuff going on, so I don't have the opportunity to watch every fight, but I try to stay on top of them. Big Herc, why are the Peter Lickers kicked out the dorm, but wig splitters get to stay? Peter Lickers, nobody want to be around, you know, if you got a cellie in prison and he's a known homosexual or he's a known Peter Licker and you're cool with selling up with this dude, you're gonna become suspect. So you got to be careful of who you sell up with or who you kick it with, because rumors will spread and you don't want that type of you know, handle on you that you like to hang out with old Peter Gazers and shit, because then motherfucker might think you into some old Peter Gazer tactics. And maybe you, you know, when the lights go down, you in there doing something, man. So stay away from the Peter Gazers. Wig splitters, they about their business, you know what I'm saying? So they get respect, but ain't nobody respecting a motherfucking Peter Gazer. It said, let me see. Somebody said, do inmates sex play new inmates? Well, if you watch the Peter Gazer prison talk, I kind of talk about that a little bit. I would say there's more sex play in YA, California Youth Authority, than federal prison. But you know, if you, depending on how you carry, you gotta watch, man. Dudes will try shit to see if they can get away with it. You never let a motherfucker smack in your ass. You don't let a motherfucker you know, walk up in your cell with a towel on, trying to conversate with you. You know what I'm saying? Tell them to keep it pushing, man. There's certain things you don't do. A motherfucker to do, that's a sex play. So you got to watch that shit, because it'll be real subtle. And then gradually the nigga might be on some weirdo shits. Because there's a lot of weird motherfuckers in there, because they've been in there for so long and they just become, you know, perverted in their ways, man. So you got to watch out for that. But, you know, a new inmate, man, you got to just be aware of how, you know, body language and stuff like that. Was there a Hebrew Israelites in prison? I couldn't say I ran across any. You know, I ran across some guys who actually practiced the Jewish religion. I don't even know, and I don't know if I'm even saying this right, but I think they were practicing Jews, but I didn't run across any Hebrew Israelites in prison in particular. Somebody said, smartest criminal you have met in prison. The smartest criminal. Um, shit. I don't know, man. There's a lot of smart dudes. You know, you got a lot of dudes that are making a lot of money, man. That were just, you know what I'm saying? That's got caught slipping. You know, a lot of times it wasn't that you know, it wasn't that these guys got caught. It's that somebody told on them, and they didn't even get caught with the drugs. I know a dude who was out of the drug game for over a year, and he caught a case because the dude said back when he was selling drugs, he was selling them like 4 birds a month. So they added all that in the conspiracy charge to the dude's case, and he got charged with a conspiracy to distribute, I forgot how many kilos of cocaine, but they never found any cocaine. They never seen it. This dude got popped, and he just, you know what I'm saying, because his association with the dude. So there's a lot of bullshit, and that's the thing, man. You know, and I told these youngsters out there, you're talking about your business on the internet, you showboating, you putting it out there, man, keep that shit to yourself, man. Don't catch it. Don't catch a case. Don't give the feds a case, man. You know what I'm saying? You just giving them a case, you know, waiting for them to come crack your ass. You know, and you got to watch who you have around you, man. A lot of these dudes is not loyal. Once you get 2 to 3 people outside your circle, most likely those motherfuckers are pieces of shit. You know, there might be associates, but I wouldn't say you could trust them with your most intimate business. You know what I mean? So you got to really be careful about that. Shout out to Wifey. She says she likes a new shirt. This is our new Fresh Out shirt. It's available on the website. Get you one. These things are hot off the press. FreshOutSeries.com. Check it out. And somebody says, no, I don't shoot dice. I haven't. I rolled dice when I went to Vegas one time, but that was about it. You know what I mean? But I don't shoot dice in the street no more. I kind of, where I'm at now, I don't really mix it up like that. Shout out to Bobby. He said his wife don't believe I responded. Would it be considered snitching to file a grievance against a CO? No, because these COs, some of them, man, are pieces of shit, and your only legal recourse is paperwork. And when there's things you can do that will make these motherfuckers get right. So being educated in prison and knowing how to push paperwork is a big plus. You know, a lot of dudes from DC are smart with that paperwork. A lot of brothers from New York, a lot of brothers from the East Coast are really tight with that paperwork. Brothers from California too, but you know, pushing that paperwork will get a lot of things done, and that's how things are done in prison. It's a process. You know, you got to file your initial grievance, and then you do your appeals process. But don't you know, talking to somebody ain't gonna get it solved. You put that paperwork, and that goes on their record. Believe me, they're gonna get some act right about themselves. Do real niggas get respect from every car in prison? Yeah, if you're a real nigga, you gonna get respect from whoever, you know what I mean? Because you ain't no buster and you about your business. You know, how you carry yourself on the street is pretty much how you carry yourself in prison. And if you're a real nigga on the street, you'll be a real nigga in prison. You know, if you was a buster and on the street you run around with pistols and you just, you know, you were about some bullshit, then when you get to prison, you're gonna get exposed because everybody has the same resources in prison. The same khaki suits, the same boots, and you can't hide behind, you know what I'm saying, all that flossy shit because ain't no name brand up in there. Everybody got the same funky ass clothing. No, I have a stepdaughter. I don't have any kids of my own though. Jacking off in a chow hall, no. Yeah, don't get caught. Don't beat your meat in that motherfucking kitchen. You get your wig split for that. I remember there's cats that are, I forgot what they call them, man, but they're actually, they're the gunners. They call them the gunners. And the gunners are the dudes who, when there's a female staff member, they gun her down. And what they mean by gun her down is that they'll fucking beat their meat right there in front of her and bust one in their pants. And so you got dudes in prison who, you know, there's a handful of female staff. And I mean, you know, these dudes ain't maybe been around a female or had nobody come visit them in years. But they're still trying, you know, they're on some pussy time. And they'll cut a hole in their pocket and, you know, they'll see a female guard and fucking they'll just go to town. And I know, you know, there's the cat who got caught. You know, the broad was working in the cold storage in the kitchen. And, you know, behind the door, he was beating his meat up in there. And she turned around and seen his ass and he got sent to the hole for that. That's almost like considered, I don't know if it's considered an assault or some type of exposure, but you can get yeah, you can get sent to the hole for if you get caught jacking off and in front of a female staff member. What's my favorite meal on the streets? Shit, steak, man. Steak and some really good garlic potatoes or something. Roof Chris, Lawry's. A really good meal. I also like going to a really good brunch. I really enjoy good food, and I'll spend money for that. You know what I'm saying? So, food it's food you take for granted, but man, it's a blessing to be able to have choices where you're not limited to eat fucking top ramen and fucking tuna fish. Um, Somebody said, what is this? Where you had to kill, be killed, would you PC up? Somebody said if you were in a situation where you had to kill or be killed or PC up, what would you do to keep from getting life? If you were in a situation where somebody was trying to take your life or their life, it's got to be theirs, man. You know what I mean? You pray that you never put yourself in a situation like that, but you got to defend yourself, man. I mean, you curl up and let somebody take your life is not what that's not in my spirit. So I would never let somebody just voluntarily take my life. But I'm glad I never had to get put in that situation in prison. And if you are put in that situation, hopefully you can argue self-defense, because there's certain people they know that are just pieces of shit up in there, and they're actually better off if somebody took them out the game because they can't do it for them. So thoughts on dropout gangs. I don't really, my thoughts, I really don't have any, man. I mean, dudes who drop out, man, for whatever reason, I know in prison, if you're a dropout, man, you're pretty much alienated. You know what I mean? You're doing PC time. You're alienated. Ain't nobody. Sometimes when you do find out, what's crazy if you're a dropout and you dropped out and you were in a prison maybe up north and you go down south or you go to wherever to another state in the feds, somebody will already know about you. Dudes are sending kites all over the place, man. So word travels quick. So don't think that because you dropped out over here, you show up here, you'll be able to be cool. Because eventually somebody would know about you being a dropout, and they will actually probably send somebody to go check your ass in. So I try to work out like probably like 6 days a week. You know what I'm saying? So I try to try to stay in shape, man. Try to be healthy. Try to get at least 2 workouts a day just to stay active. You know what I'm saying? Just to make keep the body young. It says I know you made videos about this, but why are the inmates so swole? What kind of workouts do they do different than the ones on the street? On the street, you have to work a 9 to 5. You got to support yourself. So a lot of times you're not just working out all day, and then you can't just work out for 2-3 hours and go to sleep and then lay around and you don't really have a job. In prison, even though the diet is shit, you don't have the protein, you don't have access to all the supplements. Dudes up in there, they're doing like the same workouts. Like I've seen dudes do arms, curls and back arms damn near every day, every other day. Curls, back arms, one day, chest, shoulder the next day. Back and forth, back and forth. No squats, no leg extension, nothing like that. And they just swell the fuck up. It's like you think they're overtraining, but because of maybe the amount of sleep they're getting, they're recovering from those workouts. But yeah, it's just a different type of workout in prison, and dudes are, they're not breaking up body parts like what you get on the street. People aren't like, they're not like doing, big muscle, little muscle, 2 days on, 2 days off, because shit kicks off in prison and you have, you got to take advantage of when you can work out. Most dudes are just trying to get their workout in every day they can, you know what I mean? So they really very few off days. And then they took a lot of the weights in California anyways. Most prisons don't even have weights now. It's, you just got pull-ups and dips. I didn't ever have any contact visits while I was in prison, wasn't fortunate. And in the feds, I think, it in the camp, you probably could get a little more. I don't know. I've never been visiting in the feds, man, so I can't really tell you, man. I know they have contact visits in the state, you know. Um, it says, do they get fire camp in the feds because I'm locked up in San Quentin prison and they have a fire camp in state prison? No fire camp in the feds. I've never heard of a fire camp in the feds. I think that's pretty much limited to state prisons. Feds, they have camps, and at those camps they have programs, but I never heard of anything as far as any fire camps for people doing time in the feds. That's foreign to me. I've never heard of that. Did you ever compliment another man on his body in prison? Nah, you know, that's shit people do on the street. All that flexing and shit you see on Instagram on the street. You know, in prison, man, ain't nobody grabbing on each other's arms and shit unless you on some old, you know, you on some Peter Gazer time. Once again, you're not touching another man on his arms. You're not touching another man on, you know, on his chest or, oh, you gotta, nigga, you swole. You gotta, you know he's swole, so you just recognize, but you ain't riding a motherfucking dick. You know what I'm saying? That's you know, yeah, he's swole. He's got his, you know, he's got his size on, but you know, you don't do it like on the street, man. You ain't touching the nigga's shoulders and all that shit, man. That's a funny style shit. Somebody said, how did you handle yourself? How did you handle yourself in prison when you first got out? Well, when you first got in, you just handle yourself accordingly, man. You don't run your mouth. You don't run around talking a bunch of shit. You kind of keep to yourself, and the less people know about you, the better. You put your business out there. It leaves yourself open to be chastised or for dudes to try to get into your business. So you keep all that shit to yourself, man. You don't want people, as long as you keep it low key and you're not trying to really sit with a group. They have areas in the kitchen, like even when you go to chow hall, that's like neutral, where if you're not a gang member, you're an older cat, you're just trying to do your time, you can just sit. There's the area of tables you can just sit. Because they got crip tables, they got Serrano tables, they got Norteño, they got Blood, they got, GD, whatever. In the kitchen they have for the paisas, for the border, they got area for everybody. It's so fucking segregated. It's sickening. But if you're not a part of any clique, there is an area that you can sit in where you can enjoy your, eat your meal. I don't know about enjoying it because, in the chow hall, you eat and get the fuck out of there. But there is a place where you can sit at in the kitchen and not be harassed. Big Herc, my dad's in Pelican Bay State Prison. Basically, I want to ask if he can move to Minnesota as soon as he gets out, or does he have to wait for his parole to end? You could actually apply for an out-of-state transfer. What would happen is you'd have to file the paperwork before he gets out, and have his probation, a parole officer, contact whatever parole office is in Minnesota, and they would have to go do a visit to that particular house that he's gonna be staying at when he gets out, so they can check and make sure it's cool, and then if they approve wherever he's gonna be living at, there's a possibility that they will let him transfer. Otherwise, a lot of times they'll put you on a probationary period where they want to see you do good for like maybe 6 months, and then they'll allow you to transfer. But if you start applying for the paperwork now, you might possibly be able to do a transfer before he gets out. The homies Alvaro Mendoza from Salinas said he met you when he was locked up in the feds. Said you were a cool individual. You know what, Mendoza? It sounds familiar, man, but I'm bad with names, man. So a lot of times I don't remember people, but I knew a lot of dudes from Salinas, man. So I was cool with them. So I'm pretty sure we probably kicked it, I kicked with a lot of Mexican cats from up north. So I probably did hang out with them. Props out to Mendoza. I'm just bad with names, man. I apologize. I've been out, 8 years, and a lot of times, I recognize people on the street, but it's because of where I met them at that my memory sometimes becomes clouded. So somebody said, "Do you have to tote the hammer or the do you have to tote the hammer or the blinky?" Um, well, it depends on where you're at, whether or not you want to walk around all the time with a blinky. If you got a plastic blinky, what I'm saying, for self-defense purposes, then, you can get through the metal detectors. But, if you get patted down, you get caught with a blinky, then you're going to the hole. So they can tack on another 6 months, or you can lose good time behind that. So you got to be careful where you carry when you're carrying contraband like that, because you can get caught up. Yeah, man. Somebody said, did my reputation being a porn star allow you to rent those porno magazines for a higher price than other inmates? You know what? My reputation for being in the porn industry, it allowed a lot of dudes who wouldn't fuck with Cali dudes, because certain people don't fuck with certain cliques. So, like, if you're from Cali, you're not really, dudes from New York, and then you're not really mixing, or dudes from Chicago. But because I was in the porn industry, and dudes was like, okay, you was out there robbing banks, and you were, getting your fuck on, getting paid. Dudes were kind of cool. So it actually opened up doors for conversation. And then when guys seen I did legal work, it kind of branched over into that. But being in the porn industry, man, I got, I used to get new clothes from the laundry because the dudes were cool with me because of, what I did when I was on the street. Dudes would actually advice about their girl. I had dudes asking me, man, he's about to get out. He's been down 10 years. What would I suggest as far as how he deal with his female? So I was almost on some Dr. Phil shit up in there. So I had a lot of dudes that would want to really sit down and conversate with me, and felt that they could open up as far as just, dealing with a female on the street. And then, as far as, they would always ask me, man, what you got fiend books? I know you got something. So dudes assumed that I had a bunch of porno magazines because I was in the porn industry. But shit, man, I was trying to hustle the magazines like everybody else. Did I ever go to the hole? Yeah, I went to the hole over some bullshit. I was taking a nap, and motherfuckers just came in there and locked me up in the hole for like a week for no reason, just because that's what they do up in there. They'll just randomly take you to the hole. They don't even have to have a reason for it. Big Hurt, do you know where Serbia is? I've seen it on the map. You know what I mean? I know it's over there by the Baltic states and over in Eastern Europe. But I've never been there. Would I go back to porn? I'm on some other shit. I'm on some corporate, tech stuff now, man. I'm trying to get money, man. Porn industry, most of those guys I ran across, unless they really establish themselves, they're not. I ran across a dude who was in the porn industry for 10, 20 years, man. This dude's working security at a motherfucking, I think, Home Depot or Target or something, man. That's embarrassing, man. You can brag about you fuck thousands of women, but you ain't got nothing to show for it. You don't get residual income. You don't have a SAG card, so it's not like, when you get to a point where you're past your prime, it ain't like you're gonna get a mailbox check. So the porn industry right now for me wouldn't be anything I'd be interested in. I would have to be some type of porn application where I can make money by selling it to other people and letting them exploit themselves. But nothing against the porn industry, but it ain't no money in it. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be worth my time, especially with what I'm involved with right now as far as business wise. If I were to come in fresh into prison, do I have to sit with a certain group? If you're fresh into prison, like say when you hit the yard, like say you get transferred from your holding facility to whatever prison, usually there'll be somebody there that'll kind of lace you up on like what the protocol is. Like if you're from a certain neighborhood, or if you don't bang, if you're a white guy approach you. If you're a black guy, an OG black guy approach you. If you're Mexican, an OG Mexican cat will approach you and see what's up with you. And it's it'll pretty much kind of lace you, and then it'll tell once you go to the chow hall, let you know where you can sit, where not to sit, So usually somebody puts you up under their wings. You know what I mean? Kind of put you up in put you up on game as far as, you know what I'm saying, how shit works as far as you know, the prison politics. Some nigga here in San Quentin dropped a kite saying there was a gun on the yard and everybody in my unit got their cell shaken down. Has something like that happened to you? Yup. I was at Sheridan and same shit. Somebody dropped a kite. Somebody dropped a kite saying that there was a gun on the yard. So they locked down the whole prison and went unit to unit and motherfucking goon outfits with their guns out and basically shook down every fucking unit and tore the fucking cells up. They made us get out of the cell probably like 3 in the morning, had us in just our underwear and our flip flops. I don't even know if everybody even had flip flops on, and we were all cuffed up, sitting down, and they went to each cell and just fucking tore it the fuck up. So yeah, I've seen that same situation where a motherfucker drops a kite and fucks up the whole institution because they're on some bullshit. What's your prison number? I don't know who that is. Somebody says, what are the signs someone's trying to play you in prison? What are the signs if somebody's trying to play you in prison? You know, it's no different than a person on the street, I guess, trying to manipulate you to get money from you or ask you for a favor. I mean, you got dudes in prison that are trying to play it off like, oh man, I got this and that coming. My girl's gonna put this money on my books, and could you go to commissary for me this week and I'll get you back. Don't do it. Don't put yourself out there. Don't lend motherfuckers nothing. Don't let nobody borrow nothing. Don't go to store for people because a lot of times you're not gonna get paid back. Motherfucker go in there and he might have done that to 3 other people, and because he looked like he had money, he uses that as a tool to kind of. And these guys are pieces of shit. I mean, there's some people in there, man, you wouldn't believe as far as just the con games they try to run, and they do their time like that. They go from institution to institution, and they do what they can get away with until they get checked into the hole. So it's fucked up. But you got to watch out for dudes trying to work you out of borrowing stuff. Don't carry nobody's clothes or food for them because that's considered a bitch move. Watch out. Don't let nobody like what I'm saying. Don't have another motherfucker. You just gotta watch out how you have certain people around you, man. You gotta be conscious. It's no different than being on the street and being conscious of the people you have around you. Somebody said how to keep a sharp mouthpiece while in prison. Read a lot of books, man, and don't engage in frivolous conversation. A lot of times people want to talk about stuff, man. I try to avoid conversation that was ignorant. I've done enough ignorant shit in my lifetime, so there's no need for me to keep rehashing the things that led to me being in prison. So I don't tell, what they call war stories. I don't go back and tell about all the shit I did that got me to that point. So, you gotta avoid that shit. And you gotta reprogram your mind to talk on a more intellectual, articulate level. You gotta start reading things that challenge your vocabulary and elevate your consciousness. Otherwise, you're gonna get out and be that same person that you were when you went in. And they actually have there's actually a condition for that. They call it your second childhood. There's guys I know that went to prison at, say, 21, 22, 23, 24, do 10, 15 years, and when they get out, they're still thinking they're 24, 25. You're 40 years old, man. You're 39 years old. You're not 22 no more. You got to grow up, man. And a lot of people don't grow up in prison. So you have this immature, almost state of mind or behavior in a grown man, and it doesn't work out here, man, because people expect you at a certain point in your life to have your shit together, and if you haven't matured, then you're going to have problems when you try to integrate back into society. You're not going to be able to function properly. But yeah, I do. Somebody said, this is the last question. Do Bloods, Crips, and GDs help each other in race riots? And a race riot, it's about race, If there's a black guy next to you and motherfuckers getting rushed by, somebody, you cannot, even if you're not clicked up, you cannot sit there and let that take place. Otherwise, when the shit clears and motherfuckers like, man, I seen you sitting over there, you let the homie get his head bashed in and you didn't do shit, you were running, you're going to get your wig split. So best believe you can't avoid certain situations when it comes to putting in rec. You got to be about your business. I went ahead and gave you guys an hour today. And, I wanted to make sure I got a full dose in. Usually I do about 45 minutes, a half hour, but I think an hour I can get a little bit more of the questions asked and hopefully share some, positive stuff with you guys and give you a little bit more insight into prison. I know it's a sad situation. I know to talk about prison is nothing positive about it unless you take that experience and make it something positive later. And that's what I'm trying to do, is take a negative and make it a positive, because I don't want anybody to go to prison unless you're a piece of shit. You fuck with old people, you fuck with kids, you do heinous shit, you need to get your wig split. But in general, man, prison for people who are trying to make a living, hustling, getting your bread, you ain't fucking with nobody, you got to deal with these fucking snitches, it's fucked up. But, turn your life around, do something positive. If you're a hustler, be about your hustler and get out the game before somebody tells on you, and make that transition into the legitimate side of the workplace. But I'm out. Check us out on YouTube. Tell your friends and family to subscribe. FreshOutSeries, Life After Penitentiary on YouTube. Check us out on SoundCloud. Check us out on on our Instagram, FreshOutSeries, and also Twitter. And I thank you guys for tuning in today. I'll be back on Monday the 27th for another live prison talk. And I hope you guys have a great week and enjoy your weekend. I'm out.